let me introduce you to the 3 groups for you to choose from today. We have group number 1 with the Prism Oracle deck as well as the Green Aventurine Heart Crystal. Group number 2 with the Believe in Yourself Oracle deck as well as the Amethyst Heart Crystal. And group number 3 with the Affirmations of the Fairy Cat Oracle deck as well as the Opalite Heart Crystal. You can pause this video if you'd like to take as much time as you need to pick either one or multiple of these groups intuitively. And once you have made your decision, you can find the timestamps that correlate to your group's reading in the description box below as well as in the pinned comment. If you enjoy this reading, please don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. Let me know in the comments what you thought about it. If you like my energy and would like to watch more readings from me, then please consider subscribing to my channel by clicking the red subscribe button below. It is free of cost and it helps me grow as a creator here on YouTube. And I will see you all in your reading. Hi group 1, welcome to your reading. You guys chose the Green Aventurine Heart Crystal. So let's find out what your younger self thinks about you right now. How do they feel about you right now? What would they like to say to you right now? I'm gonna start off with your pre-shuffled oracle cards first, except for this card that I'm gonna keep aside. That's like the message or advice for you from your younger self. But first up we have Disruption followed by Ghost, then we have Mystery and Passion. Okay, so immediately something that I'm getting for you guys, group number 1, is that maybe when you were younger there were like dark things that you were interested in, say for example witchcraft, occult, like just taboo topics that you wanted to read up about or want to know more about, or that was just something that you were interested in. Maybe you had like a gothic phase, an emo phase in your life, but it wasn't really just a phase, it was just something that you were genuinely interested in. But maybe like society, maybe you know where you grew up, it was considered taboo, and for that reason you were maybe asked to like normal things, or you know, not indulge into such dark topics, not ask questions, not research about darker topics. Okay, whether that's about, like I said, like, you know, ghosts, whether that's about life after death, whether that's about just witchcraft in general, or you know, any other like taboo things. Maybe even like sexuality was something that you were asked to like tone down on, but it was something that you were interested in knowing, or it was something that you wanted to indulge in, but for some reason you weren't allowed to do that, or maybe you had to suppress that interest of yours when you were a child, and now as an adult you are just a lot more expressive and open about being interested in these things. Okay, like maybe maybe you are a practicing witch, or maybe you you know, work as like a sex therapist or something of that sort. Like maybe you have a blog or an Instagram where you talk about taboo topics much more openly, or maybe just the way that you express yourself was considered very out there when you were a kid, but now when you've grown up you have just, you know, stopped caring about people's opinions and you started expressing yourself the way that you want to. Okay, so that's whether that's the way that you dress, whether that's the way that you choose to carry yourself, or the career that you have chosen, or the interests that you have. Yeah, so yeah, I definitely feel like there was something that you had to like suppress and tone down as a child, that your younger self is very happy and like grateful to you for just expressing that and letting that, you know, part of yourself be seen in the world. Okay, yeah, so I mean, this could just very simply be that, you know, maybe you were interested in watching horror movies and you weren't allowed to do that, but then you've grown up saying, you know what, I don't care, I am going to watch horror movies. Or maybe you grew up in a very religious household and, you know, talking about things after death, or talking about the devil, or talking about, you know, just wanting to know things about like witchcraft, indulging in tarot was something that wasn't really considered normal or wasn't really encouraged when you were a kid. Maybe you were taught that these are bad things, but then you've grown up realizing that there's nothing bad about these things, and that, you know, you can be curious about these things and you can always like learn about them and talk about them, and it's okay to do that. It's okay to be interested in the things that you are interested in. Maybe as a child you got into a lot of trouble because you would break the rules, or, you know, maybe go behind your parents' back and, like, you know, actually indulge in these things even though they asked you not to. Maybe you were considered like the black sheep of the family. You're just like a troubled child, like a problem child. But yeah, your younger self is really happy that you have grown up and you have very passionately embraced these interests, these quirks about you that makes you you, and you are so open about expressing them and letting the world know that you're interested in these things. Or you're just like very like, just the fact that people are asking you not to do something but then you're doing it because you're interested in doing it, like, yeah, that's something that your younger self is really, really grateful to you for. For just, I feel, not letting the comments of other people, whether they were calling you weird or eccentric, like, not letting those things, you know, put you in a box. Instead, it's like you've used that and you've set yourself free. And I think, like, what you're doing right now, you might be thriving in, or at least you're just very emotionally satisfied and happy doing these things now. And for that, your younger self is really thankful to you for, and is really happy that you get to do the things that they weren't allowed to do, or that they couldn't do so freely or so openly. So yeah, that is a message that I'm picking up on for you guys. Group number one, for a lot of you, I am picking up on the fact that, you know, maybe you are like practicing witches, maybe you are into tarot yourself, maybe like you're on a much more spiritual path than you are on like a religious path. Not to say that you're not religious, because like for me personally, I've always found that being on a spiritual journey has gotten me much closer to God than religion ever did. So yeah, maybe that's how you feel as well. Or maybe, like, irrespective of where you are in life, you're just really emotionally content and emotionally happy, and your heart feels light, and your heart feels like there's no burden on you to, you know, hide aspects of yourself, or, you know, hide away in the shadows, or suppress your true self, you know. And that is very liberating, that's very freeing. That's a feeling that your younger self wished that they could experience, but they see you experiencing it, and they're very happy that you guys have finally been able to, you know, break free from the shackles of, you know, normal. And I say that in quotes because, yeah, what even is normal, right? Like, it's such a subjective definition of normal. Anyway, let's get your tarot now. Let's get some more information about what your younger self thinks about you. Okay, so we have the Two of Wands, we have the Six of Cups. I'd like some more cards. We have the Wheel of Fortune, yes, and we have the Magician, and this card also wants to come out. We have the Five of Swords. Okay, so I'm gonna put this here maybe. Okay, your bottom deck energy is the High Priestess. So yes, I do feel like some of you have gotten into the occult. Maybe you are witches, maybe you are psychics, maybe you're tarot readers, astrologers. You know, you're just doing things that are a bit offbeat, a bit Aquarian. So yeah, I definitely feel like if that's your energy, then that's how you know that you have chosen the right group. But let's get into your tarot. So first up, we have the Two of Wands and the Six of Cups. So your younger self, definitely, like I was saying, you know, there is this feeling of nostalgia. There's this feeling of like they're really proud that you get to like experience these things, and you're much more adventurous, you're much more curious, and you know, you're able to give into your curiosity and look up things, you know, research things, you know, talk about things much more openly, express yourself more openly. And while they are very happy for you and proud of you, at the same time they also wish that they were able to do it when they were younger. So yeah, maybe there is like a piece of you, a part of you that wishes that you could have these tools or have this information at your exposure when you were younger. But even then, I still feel like your younger self looks at you with a lot of pride. Your younger self looks at you like you have really changed your life for the better. You know, like I feel like you guys are the group where you don't miss being children. Like I don't think you want to go back to being a child again. Like if you were given the opportunity of like, you know, either being an adult like your age today, or do you want to go back to being 6 years old, I feel like you would still choose to be the adult that you are today. And that is because all of the work that you have done, all of the things that you have manifested in your life, all of the things that you can now do that your younger self only hoped and wished that they could do. And now, because you can so freely do it, your younger self is very proud of you, very happy for you. But at the same time, it's a very bittersweet feeling, because they're like, oh, I wish I was also able to do that. I wish I had the courage and the bravery to stand up to these people and say, you know what, no, I'm gonna do what I want to do. I'm gonna be interested in things that I'm interested in. I don't really wish to fit in a mold or fit into society so that you find me normal. Like I don't wish for that kind of life. And like maybe your younger self has some sort of regret over how maybe sometimes they were mean to themselves, like they had a very critical inner voice, or maybe they have done things in the past where they were untrue to themselves because they felt like people wouldn't understand them, or people you know, would probably make fun of them. So you know, they've maybe changed themselves a little bit to fit in the past. And now that they see you unapologetically be you, I feel like that's something that your younger self is proud of, but at the same time just wishes that they had the courage to also be able to do that when they were young, so even they could experience it. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, I do feel like there are some people that aren't part of your life anymore, that you always thought that they will be there for you or they will always be in your life, but they're not. And that's maybe something that your younger self is a little bit sad about. But at the same time, you know, like when they look at the bigger picture, they're like, no, overall I feel like we're really happy. So yeah, really proud of you, really grateful for you to be able to, you know, do things that maybe your younger self wasn't able to do. With this Five of Swords, I'm also picking up on like maybe there's this feeling that your younger self had, that they just wish that they were better at setting stronger boundaries. They weren't so scared to let people go out of their lives if they didn't understand what kind of person you were. Like they wish they had the courage and the bravery to just fight with people, fight for their rights, fight for what they wanted, fight for themselves, stand up for themselves. So yeah, there is like this bit of like a bittersweet energy here, where I do feel like your younger self is definitely very happy and very proud that, you know, you get to now be who you are, do what you want to, do it with passion, do it without hiding it from society, doing it in a way that's changing your life for the better. But at the same time, they wish that they were also able to experience it. Not just your adult self, but even your younger self wishes that they had these tools, this information at their fingertips, so they could use this back then, so they could stand up for themselves, so they could experience this themselves as well. Even though it's the same person, your younger self, your current self, and your future self, you're all the same person, but like, you know, just how you experienced life, how you saw life is so different, right? So yeah, there's this feeling that your younger self wishes that they could live the life that current you is living, but they are very proud for you for picking up the pieces of like your broken childhood and like making it wholesome to a point where you're actually excited, you're actually happy, you're actually adventurous, you're curious, you know, you're happy in your life. Yeah, you're satisfied, you're emotionally satisfied, you're content, you're happy, you're genuinely happy, and that makes your younger self very happy as well. Let's end your reading with the last either message or advice for you from your younger self. So here we have red, forgive. Okay, so this could be a message of you know, forgiving people for not understanding who you are, maybe forgiving the people who you've had to fight with in order to fully express yourself. Forgive your younger self for not being able to stand up for themselves, or forgive your past self for not being as strong as you are now. Okay, so there is this feeling where maybe I feel like, yeah, it's like your younger self is asking your current self for forgiveness, because maybe your current self feels like, oh, I wish my younger self had the courage to stand up for themselves, or you know, just were brave enough to do the things that they wanted to do and didn't care so much about what other people thought. And yeah, maybe there's parts of you that resents your younger self, or maybe there's parts of you that feels like you want to cringe at how your younger self behaved or acted, and for that your younger self is definitely asking for forgiveness and is hoping that you'd be able to forgive them and move forward, because like right now, like all of the work that you have done is something that's benefiting your younger self as well, and they would very much like to experience with you this emotional satisfaction, this change of environment, this change of like life completely as they know it, this change in just being able to stand up for yourself, this change in finally being free, being open, being authentic, is something that your younger self wants to experience through you and also through your future self. So they can do that completely and fully only when you forgive them. So yeah, that's a message that's coming through for you guys, group number one. I definitely feel like there are parts of your younger self, or there are parts of your life from your past that require forgiveness, that require your forgiveness in order to fully heal your younger self, or in order to just help heal this younger self and just like, you know, help this younger self grow and develop with you into the person that you currently are, so that you can all like coexist in a much more balanced and harmonious way, you know. So there's no guilt, there's no regret about the past. So yeah, that's the reading that I have for you guys, group number one. Let me know what you thought about this reading. I'm very curious to know whether it resonated or not. Let me know in the comments below, and I hope to see you all in my next one. Bye guys. Hi group 2, welcome to your reading. You guys chose the amethyst heart crystal, so let's find out what your younger self thinks about you, what they feel about you. I do have your pre-shuffled oracle cards right here. I'm going to be beginning with these first, except for this card, which is your message or advice from your younger self, which we will get into in the end. But first up, let's start with these cards right here. So we have balance, we have determination, we have relaxation, and we have music. Ooh, you are my academically gifted group, aren't you? Group number 2. I'm just picking up on major, like, oldest sibling, oldest child of the family, the perfect child, the all-rounder child who was just very good at everything, who had a lot of expectations on them, whether that was from their teachers or their parents, from their peers. Yeah, you were just too focused on academics and grades and your image and being the good kid and the good child and being a good little girl and a good little boy, and you didn't really have time for anything else. You didn't have time for fun, you didn't have time for relaxation, you didn't have time for anything. You had to prove yourself to the world, you had expectations to live up to. I feel like this is that group, isn't it? Group number 2. And if you were, then you know that you have picked the right group for you guys. But what your younger self is so grateful to you for, and how your younger self like sees you now, is someone who's much more relaxed, someone who is able to take a break, someone who knows when to rest and when to quit, you know, someone who knows that rest is productive, someone who doesn't feel like they have to be go and super productive at all times, you know, someone who is able to just stop and smell the roses. Yeah, like someone who is at least, you know, just like not a super type A kind of a person who's constantly working, constantly just doing, constantly being productive, constantly like, you know, doing things not just that are expected of you, but also that you think are expected of you, like constantly having things on your to-do list. Even if you've scratched out 5 things, adding 5 more things on your to-do list for the day. Like, yeah, your younger self is just happy that you're not that person anymore, and that you are prioritizing rest, and you're prioritizing, you know, relaxation a lot more than your younger self did. There is a lot more balance in your life. So you are still that determined person who is probably ambitious and has big goals and wants to do things, but at the same time you're able to or you have been able to bring more balance into your life, where you're just not constantly working towards your goals, right? There's also like, there are breaks in the middle, there's periods of rest and relaxation. You're able to enjoy other things such as music, such as dancing, such as movies, art even, and not just constantly working, right? Like not attaching all of your value to the results that you're able to produce, right? Yeah, that's something that your younger self is very grateful to you for, group number 2. I definitely feel like you are someone who, as you've grown up, maybe started having more friends, started having more fun, started going out a lot more, and maybe when you were younger you felt like you didn't have time for this, so you didn't want to waste your time on these things, or these things were frivolous, you know, having friends, going out and having fun was just a waste of time, was just something that people with no goals or ambitions did. But as you've grown older, you've realized that, you know, extracurricular activities, you know, just having rest, having friends are just as important as it is to have goals and have ambition and drive in life, right? So yeah, I definitely feel like as you've grown older, maybe you've made more friends, maybe you've done that inner work and gotten more balance into your life by prioritizing not just your work but other things as well. Okay, like at least at least you know, thinking about other aspects of your life and not just work, not tying all of your self-worth and self-esteem to your goals and drives and ambition. Okay, and yeah, that is something that your younger self is really, really proud of you for. Let's see how they view you. How does your younger self look at you? So we have Judgment. We have the 3 of Coins. We have the 7 of Coins. We have the 4 of Cups, right? Your bottom deck energy is the 7 of Wands. Yeah, just I feel like your younger self is just happy that you're not a loner anymore, that you're not cynical, that you're not like blocking people out of your life because you think they're just gonna waste your time, they're just going to, you know, take from you and not really give to you in any way. Like, it's just happy that you are no longer the kind of person who believes in doing everything on your own and, you know, doing things for yourself and not believing that other people can help you and only you can decide what your life looks like, right? Like being very rigid, being very stubborn in the sense that wanting to do things on your own or like wanting to be completely self-sufficient is the goal. So yeah, your younger self is just very happy that you don't have that mindset anymore, and your younger self views you as someone who's a lot less critical about not just yourself but also about others. Okay, and that I think has taken a lot of pressure off of you, not just your current self but also your younger self, because maybe your younger self was someone who was like, oh, these kids are playing in the park when we have an assignment due next week. Like, what? These guys have no ambition, these guys have no goals, they're probably gonna, you know, end up working for me and I'm going to be the CEO. So, you know, instead of having that mentality where you're constantly judging other people and also yourself and like holding other people's and yourself to a very high standard, like you've stopped doing that, or maybe you have like worked on that and you don't do it too often or too like or constantly or like to an extreme, and that they're really happy about because they see that that has taken a lot of pressure off of you, and because of that you have been able to prioritize relaxation more and bring more balance into your life as well. And they're also seeing that you are now much more open to making friends, in the sense that maybe like you don't discriminate, in the sense that maybe like you're not only friends with people who can benefit you, or maybe you're not friends only with people who have the same goals as you, or maybe you're not friends with the people who are just like you in the sense that maybe they are also all straight A students, but now you have like a much more wider variety of friends, right? That is something that they're really happy that you have been doing. So they definitely see you having more friends, having connections that are mutually beneficial, instead of you just seeing, oh, what can this person do for me, or how similar are we. Like, you're much more open to being friends with a much more diverse group of friends than you were in your past, maybe, right? I do feel like, yeah, your younger self is also very happy that, you know, you are saying yes a lot more to things that you would have never said yes to if you were a kid. So, you know, like how I was saying, like if someone invited you to go out to a party, you'd be like, no, I can't do that on a Friday night when I have assignments to do and I have, you know, homework to do and I have lessons to catch up on. I can't do that. I can't go out and waste my time on drinks and partying. No. And like just the fact that you are now able to say yes to things and, you know, have fun and go out and experience like the lightness of how life can be, that is something that they're really proud of you for. Like, that's something that they see you doing more of, which you didn't do when you were a kid. There's also this sense of like you being a lot more patient. So maybe as a child you weren't very patient, or like your younger self at least wasn't very patient, but they see that you are now much more patient than they ever were. So they definitely also view you as someone who has more patience, someone who thinks of the long term instead of thinking of just, you know, this week or tomorrow or 1 year. Like you think of, you know, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 50 years from now, you know, what you would like to experience when you're on your deathbed. You know, these things also matter to you now, which they probably didn't when you were younger, or they didn't to your younger self, whether it was because of your own self, because that's how you were raised, or because that's just how you were when you were a kid. Irrespective, I just feel like, yeah, those are things that have changed in you, and that's like a pleasant change that your younger self sees in you and is quite proud of you for making these changes, to be very honest, group number 2. Like they are happy that these are things that you get to experience, because maybe your younger self didn't get to experience these things, and they wish that maybe they weren't so uptight as a kid, and when they had the energy and when they had the time, they wish that they would have gone out more and said yes more and spoken to more people and relaxed more and enjoyed life more. But you know, maybe that's like a regret that they have, but they're very happy that you have chosen to like break out of that you know, sort of very stoic lifestyle and stoic life essentially that you were living, and that you have explored and expanded into this person who's much more holistic, who's much more you know, out there, who's much more of a functioning adult. Yeah, so yeah, that's what I'm seeing. I feel like your younger self thinks that they were much more of an adult than you are, which they're very happy about. Just the fact that your younger self, like your inner child, can come out to play in adulthood is something that they're so happy about, and they're so proud of you for. Because when they were a child, it almost felt like your younger self was you know, a 50-year-old living in a 3-year-old's body. But you know, now that you are maybe, you know, in your late 20s, early 20s, early 30s, doesn't matter what your age is, but the fact that you have now done that inner healing so that your inner child feels like a child, and it still, you know, comes out every now and then, is something that they really appreciate. So maybe they wish that they could be a child when they were a child, but they're just very glad that they're able to come out now and, you know, express themselves and, like, you know, yeah, just act their age now. Yeah, so like, yeah, they're really happy that, you know, your younger self is just very happy that they can be a child now, because maybe there are regrets that, you know, they probably grew up too fast, or they threw away their childhood, or they weren't a child when they was just supposed to be a child. But yeah, they're very happy that you allow them to do that and exist and thrive, okay, through your current self, or, you know, even in your future. Like, they're just very happy they get to experience being a child. Now let's see what advice or message they have for you. So here we have Throne. Your potential is endless. Yeah, so they still think that there is a lot that you can do. There is still that determination and drive within them that's maybe even keeping you going as an adult. But yeah, I do feel like your younger self is trying to tell you that, you know, it is possible. I mean, more than you, I think it's trying to tell itself that it is possible for you to have goals and dreams and ambition and still be able to enjoy life as well. Like, still be able to live a very fulfilled, functional life as well, okay? Like, yeah, just because you're constantly working doesn't mean that's the only way that you will be able to live up to your full potential. Like, you can, you know, go after your goals and your dreams and also enjoy life at the same time. So yeah, I mean, I think they are in awe of you. Group number 2, your younger self is definitely in awe of you. Your younger self definitely looks up to you and like is very inspired by you. Okay, like I do feel like who you are now is who your younger self always wanted to be when they were a grown adult. So they're actually very proud of you for being the person that you are. Yeah, but they're also very much in awe of you because you have somehow broken out of like old thought patterns, and you know, you have evolved in such a beautiful way that they are just in awe of how you're able to like manage everything and have it all, and like be the person that your younger self was, but also at the same time be the person that your younger self thought that your future self would be like, you know. So like, yeah, that's just, it's a beautiful combination of how who you are right now is who you've always wanted to be and more, and your younger self is just in awe of how you were able to do that, and it's just crazy to them, and it's wild to them that, you know, you have exceeded your younger self's expectations in the way that you are living now, and you will be living in the future as well. So yeah, that's the reading that I have for you guys, group number 2. Let me know what you thought about this reading. I'm very curious to know if it resonated or not. Let me know in the comments. I do hope you enjoyed this reading, and I hope to see you all in my next one. Bye guys. Hi group 3, welcome to your reading. You guys chose the opalite heart crystal, so let's find out what your younger self thinks about you. How do they feel about you? As always, I have all of your oracle cards pre-shuffled right here. I'm going to be beginning with these, except for this card, which I'm going to keep aside, and we will get that at the end of your reading. But starting off with these cards, we have movement, we have fear, we have spring, and we have depth. Ooh, okay. Okay, group number 3. I feel like you were the kids, or your younger self at least, was someone who just always did what they were told. Okay, no questions asked. If it's a rule, then it's a rule. We're not gonna break any rules. We are, you know, like we're gonna do whatever we're told to do. Like, yeah, your younger self just followed all the rules, never broke the rule, was like the residential good girl or good boy, you know, just yeah, very unproblematic child. Okay, even if that meant that you had to dim your own light, in the sense that maybe you didn't feel comfortable asking why, or asking, okay, this is the rule, I get it, but why is this the rule? Like, what will happen if I break the rule? Like, you were so good to a point where you didn't allow yourself to even ask those questions. And yes, my phone just went off. So yeah, like you, like maybe you were the kid who didn't raise your hand and ask a doubt in class because you were like, oh, it seems like everybody else understood, and it would be embarrassing if I asked why, or oh, I have a genuine question but nobody else seems to have the same questions, like maybe I should just keep quiet and like not ask anybody as to, like, you know, why I'm feeling this way, because maybe I'm wrong, maybe, you know, I have this question because I didn't understand the concept. Like maybe that's just how you were when you were a kid. If you were, then that's how you know that this is the right group for you, and that you have picked the right group. But yeah, I am picking up on this feeling that like you did things without questioning them, you know, you didn't question authority, you did not allow, like, even if you had genuine questions, maybe there were fear of judgment or being called dumb or stupid, or just the fear of authority that didn't allow you to ask questions and be curious, even if you did have questions, and even if there were extremely valid questions. but I do feel like something that your that your younger self is really proud of you for and is really grateful to you for is that you have moved past that fear of maybe looking dumb or looking stupid or coming across as someone who's not knowledgeable enough. Like, you yourself maybe have grown into a person who believes that there is no such thing as a stupid question or a dumb question or the wrong answer even. Yeah, so like there's just some sort of healing there that you have done, or just some sort of inner work that you have done, whether that's in how you feel or how you think, right? In your mindset as well, where you have moved past that fear and you have become fearless to a point where, you know, you will ask the deep questions, you will ask the questions that maybe nobody else is asking, and you will want to find out about why things are the way that they are. Even if nobody else is questioning them, you will question them. It's fine. It's okay if you have to go against the grain. It's okay if like there are people making faces at you and being like, oh, why are you asking these questions? That's just how it is done, so just do it that way. Like, you don't care about that anymore. You don't want to live your life like that anymore. And maybe you don't. Maybe you're just a lot more fearless now, and maybe, you know, you're a lot more like, I definitely feel like you have taken a lot of leaps of faith, and you have done a lot of work, and you have moved miles from where you were, okay, in just the terms of how fearful you were or how your mindset was. So yeah, I do feel like maybe if you know people who have known you when you were a kid and also know you now as an adult, maybe they'll say, oh, you know, like in school you weren't like this, and like there's a lot of change in you, like we see a lot of change in you, and like, oh my god, you've changed a lot. And like, your younger self really likes it when they hear stuff like that. Like, they take that as a compliment. They're like, oh yes, I have changed. Yes, I'm no longer the way that I was when I was a kid, because I lived in fear. I was afraid of movement. I was afraid of going against the grain. I was afraid of going in deep. I was afraid of asking the tough questions. You know, I was afraid that my question might make the authority figures feel like they don't have the answers, and that's going to hit a chord with them where they might feel insecure. So let me just be quiet, you know, like that's something that I have changed and that I am very, very proud of. So I do think that, you know, when you get when you get comments like, oh, you've changed a lot since when you were in 7th grade, like, you actually take that as a compliment, because you're glad that you're not that kid, that fearful, timid, shy kid anymore. And that you are a lot more vocal, a lot more open. And not to say that you don't feel fear anymore, or that you just absolutely don't care about the rules anymore. No, that's not the case. But if there are questions that you have, or if there are things that you genuinely feel like you shouldn't be scared of doing, then you just do it, you know, within reason. So yeah, that's a message that's coming through for you guys. Let's find out how your younger self views you. Let's just see how they view you now, how they view you, because this is just something that they're very grateful to you for. This is like a change that you have made that's very evident that they're grateful to you for. So now let's find out, you know, how they view you. So we have the Hierophant. Then we have Justice right next to the Hierophant. Can't even make this up. You see me live shuffling the cards. So yeah, next up we have Temperance. And we have the Lovers. Do we have all major arcana for you? Wow, okay. Bottom deck energy is the 3 of Cups. So yeah, your younger self is very happy and very grateful, and like just sees you as someone who has a better friend circle. You are able to have better conversations and better relationships with people because of the work that you have done. They definitely think that you have maybe more friends now, or maybe you are friends with like-minded people now, which they really like. You know, your younger self is very grateful for. They definitely see you being a much more confident person when it comes to interacting with other people. Maybe this was something that your younger self didn't have, just the confidence of, you know, talking to other people. Maybe you were always the quiet, shy one who didn't really give a lot of inputs in a conversation, but now you do. And that's something that your younger self definitely sees about you. But the thing that I found really funny with the Hierophant and the Justice is that I definitely feel like a big change that your younger self sees in you is how you view authority figures, how you view the rules, you know, where you will you know, like the word of the authority figure is not set in stone. You know, you're not scared of going against this person or questioning this person anymore, this authority figure anymore. And I think that has made you have a better relationship with authority figures and with people in power. So maybe like when you were a kid, you were a little bit scared of authority figures or people in power, but now you're maybe not so scared of authority figures. Like maybe as a child, you didn't have a really good relationship with your parents or with your teachers, with your principals, but growing up you have a much better relationship with your co-workers, with your bosses, even though technically they are your superiors or, you know, your like these authority figures, right? But maybe now you aren't that scared anymore, and now you are able to question them and have a much better relationship with them, to a point where, you know, you still like look up to them and you give them respect, but at the same time you don't take their word for gospel. You know what I mean? Like if your boss tells you to do something, like you're not scared of questioning that, you're not scared of putting in your own inputs in that, right? Which maybe when you were younger, that was something that you couldn't even dream of doing, or you never did. Maybe you never questioned your teachers, you never corrected your teachers, you never you know, thought of even going against them or like doing something that they have specifically asked you not to do, right? So yeah, I definitely feel like the way that you interact, not just with people around you, but also with authority figures, is something that your younger self sees, and is very appreciative of how effortlessly and easily you're able to do that as compared to your younger self. You know, maybe now this comes very naturally and easily to you, or maybe it just comes much more easier to you than it did when you were a kid, right? So that is something that your younger self definitely sees about you. That's like a very apparent thing, a change that they have noticed, a happy change in you that they have noticed. They also do really love the fact that you do have loving connections in your life. Again, like I was saying, maybe as a kid you didn't have a lot of friends, maybe you were always the quiet kid, and maybe because you were quiet people thought that you were dumb, or you know, you couldn't say anything, or that you were just stupid. But yeah, your younger self sees that you have now found connections with people, whether this is platonic, whether this is familial, whether this is romantic connections as well. And they've seen that you have found people that genuinely love you and care about you, and these are people that get you and would never call you weird or stupid, or you know, wouldn't ostracize you. You know, these are people who have accepted you for who you are, and they're very happy about that. They're very happy that you're not a loner anymore. They're very happy that you have genuine good people in your life. That's something that I'm seeing here. And I can also see with Temperance that there is just a lot of peace within you. There's a lot of peace of mind that has come with the work that you have done. There is so much more peace of mind that you have as your current self than your younger self ever did, group number 3. I just feel like, yeah, there's this like this ability to just be able to breathe, to not consciously feel like you're on edge, not consciously feel like you're in fight or flight mode, that you have to constantly look out for yourself or stand up for yourself, or prove yourself. Like, there's just so much peace of mind that you have, that your current self experiences, that your younger self didn't. So I honestly feel like you're in a much better place mentally, emotionally, spiritually than your younger self felt, rather. Okay, not to say that you don't have anxiety now, because yeah, as adults we pretty much all still feel anxious, but maybe it's better than how you felt when you were younger, or just better than how your younger self felt. Or maybe the way that you deal with your anxiety is much better and much healthier than the way that they could deal with their anxiety, right? Just the fact that they know how they're feeling and they're able to label their feelings was maybe something that your younger self wasn't able to do, or wasn't able to do well enough back then. And that is also something that they see, and that is something that they're so happy about. I definitely feel like that brings a lot of happiness and joy and like a sigh of relief to them, knowing that you're doing better than they were, just mentally, just peace of mind wise. Yeah, and they're really happy about that. They're really happy about that. Group number 3, let's end your reading with one last card. Now this is either advice for you, or this is a message that they have for you, your younger self has for you. So we have homeward, take yourself out on a date. Ooh, okay. This could, like, immediately a message that I got from this is that this could mean like go back to places where you felt very fearful in your childhood. Like, go back to those places and try to experience those places as an adult, or like go to those places just so that your mind and your body and your soul knows that these places aren't scary anymore and that you have power over these places. So in the sense that maybe going to school was just very anxiety, like, yeah, anxiety causing in your life, like just the fact that you had to get up every day and go to school, right? And maybe, yeah, like you associate school as a place of anxiety and a place of sadness and a place of fear. Maybe this is advice, like go back to your school if you can, just go back to your school, walk around the campus and like see how that place isn't fearful anymore. See how you are now in control and you can always leave when you want to, and like, just go to show yourself, to show your inner self that like, hey, we can actually be in this place without feeling fearful. Yeah. That's like a very immediate message that I got, probably just for a couple of you, maybe not for everyone, but yeah, to whoever that message was for, I really hope you get to do that. But just a general message that I'm getting from Take Yourself Out on a Date is yeah, spending more time on your own, spending more time doing things that you have wanted to do but you probably weren't able to do when you were younger. Yeah, maybe like do that, like maybe because your younger self felt like they were a loner or they didn't have any friends, they weren't able to do a lot of things, or they associated being alone as being a loner or being a loser even. But like, their message to you or their advice to you is maybe go out on a date alone. Like, even though you do have good connections in your life, go out on your own, do things on your own, so that your brain gets rewired to think that, oh, being on your own doesn't mean that you're a loser. Being on your own, going to places on your own, doing things by yourself doesn't mean that you're a loner or that you're alone. Okay, yeah, that is a message that I am picking up for you guys. Group number 3, I think I'm gonna end your reading on this note. Do let me know what you thought about this reading and whether it resonated or not in the comments below. I'm very curious to hear about the messages that I was picking up in this reading, and whether that resonated with you or not, and how it resonated with you. Also, let me know if this is something that you're going to be doing. Are you going to go back to school and, like, you know, just experience life as an adult in school and like see how that's not a scary place to be in? Let me know if that's something that you have done or are inspired to do after watching this reading. So yeah, I do hope you have also enjoyed watching this reading, and I hope to see you in my next one. Bye guys.